I accidentally sent the family group chat screenshots proving my golden child sister has been stealing from grandma. The messages exploded instantly. Mom's typing indicator pulsed for 3 full minutes before, "This better be a joke." It wasn't. For 6 months, I'd been documenting Bethany's visits to grandma's house. Every Thursday like clockwork, while everyone praised her dedication. Such a devoted granddaughter. They'd gush at family dinners while she smiled that practice smile. What they didn't see were the withdrawals. $500 here, $200 there, always just under the bank's fraud alert threshold. I'd stumbled onto it accidentally when Grandma asked me to help with her taxes. The statements didn't lie. 47 transactions to Bethany's Venmo. Grandma didn't even know what Venmo was. She said it was for my medications, Grandma had whispered. But Medicare covers everything. The screenshots were meant for my lawyer friend. Evidence for when I finally confronted Bethany privately. But my thumb slipped. Sent to Family Forever instead of Francine. Dad called immediately. "Delete this. Now." "It's true," I said. "I don't care if it's true. Delete it." But the damage was done. Uncle Pete had already screenshotted everything. The family phone tree activated like the emergency broadcast system. Bethany went silent for exactly 17 minutes. Then she struck back with surgical precision. "Since we're sharing screenshots," she wrote, attaching dozens of images. My blood froze. There I was in private messages, venting about Mom's drinking, Dad's affair suspicions, Uncle Pete's bankruptcy. Every family secret I'd ever discussed with anyone she'd somehow collected. "Your daughter has been spreading lies about all of you for years," Bethany typed. Maybe ask why she was even snooping through Grandma's finances. Mom's response was instant. "Get out of my house." She meant me. Within an hour, I was banned from the family chat. My childhood bedroom door locked, belongings in trash bags on the lawn. They chose her, the thief, because she was Bethany, valedictorian, med student, the one whose photos covered Mom's Facebook. I was just the middle child who noticed things. But Bethany made one mistake. She didn't know about the safety deposit box. Grandma had given me a key last month, made me promise to only open it when the family needs the truth. Inside wasn't just evidence of Bethany's theft. There were photos from 1987, documents with official seals, a DNA test dated 2 years ago. Bethany wasn't Mom's biological daughter. She was the product of Dad's affair with Mom's own sister. I stood outside the bank, holding papers that would detonate what remained of my family. My phone buzzed. "Unknown number. I know what you found. Meet me at the old house. Come alone." B. The old house had been condemned for 5 years. I couldn't fit what happens next in this short video. Watch the rest down below. The old Henley place squatted at the end of Maple Street like a diseased tooth. Plywood covered the windows, and weeds choked what used to be Mom's prize-winning garden. The city had condemned it after the basement flooded 3 winters running, but somehow Dad kept fighting the demolition order. "Too many memories," he'd say whenever anyone asked why he wouldn't just let them tear it down. Now I knew why. My phone buzzed again as I pulled into the cracked driveway. "Back door. It's unlocked." I should have called someone. Should have told Francine where I was going. Should have driven straight to the police station with the DNA results. Instead, I grabbed the manila envelope containing 25 years of lies and walked toward the house where I'd spent my childhood believing we were a normal family. The back door swung open before I could knock. Bethany stood there, but she looked different. Gone was the put-together med student facade. Her hair hung limp, no makeup, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. For the first time since we were kids, she looked small. "You came," she said. Did I have a choice? She stepped aside to let me in. The kitchen smelled like mildew and something else. Something sweet and rotten. Water damage had warped the hardwood floors. The wallpaper Mom had spent 3 summers choosing peeled in long strips. "Fitting place for this conversation," I said, following her into what used to be our living room. Bethany turned to face me. "How long have you known? About the money?" 6 months. "Not that." Her voice cracked. "About me." I held up the envelope. "As of 3 hours ago." She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet. "I found out 2 years ago," she said. "Right before I started medical school. Aunt Miranda told me when she was dying. Said she couldn't take the secret to her grave." Aunt Miranda. Mom's sister who'd moved to California when I was 7, who never visited, never called, sent generic Christmas cards with no return address. I'd always wondered why Mom got so tense whenever her name came up. "Does Dad know that you know?" I asked. "We've been meeting secretly. He's been helping me pay for school, giving me money to keep quiet. But it wasn't enough." She gestured around the ruined room. "Medical school is expensive, and Grandma," she swallowed hard, "Grandma has so much just sitting there. So you stole from an 87-year-old woman." "I borrowed 47 times?" Bethany's face crumpled. "I was going to pay it back. After residency. After I started making real money." "With what? Your student loans? The money Dad's been giving you to stay quiet about being his bastard daughter?" The words hung in the air like a slap. Bethany flinched. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Do you know what it's like finding out your entire life is a lie? That your mom isn't your mom? That you're the product of your father's affair with his wife's own sister? Actually, I'm starting to get a pretty good idea." I sat down on the stairs, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had carried me through the bank, through the drive here, through this confrontation was wearing off. In its place came something heavier. Sadness, maybe. Or just bone-deep tiredness. "So what now?" I asked. "You kill me? Make it look like an accident in this death trap of a house?" Bethany looked genuinely shocked. "What? No, God, no. I needed to explain. Before you destroy everything. I'm not the one who destroyed anything. If you show those papers to Mom, she deserves to know. It will kill her." I thought about Mom's face when she'd ordered me out of the house. The cold certainty in her voice when she chose Bethany over me. The way she'd looked at those screenshots like I was the problem, not the theft. Maybe she's already dead, I said. Maybe the woman I thought was my mother never really existed. Bethany sat down across from me on the floor, cross-legged like we used to during our tea parties in this same room, when we were 4 and 6 and thought we'd be best friends forever. There's more, she said quietly. More what? In Grandma's safety deposit box. You didn't find everything. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? There are 2 keys. Grandma gave me one last year when I told her I knew the truth about my parentage. She said there were things I needed to understand about our family. What thing? Bethany pulled a folded paper from her pocket. Uncle Pete isn't Dad's brother. I stared at her. What? He's Mom's son. From when she was 15, Grandma raised him as her own, told everyone he was her late-in-life baby. Mom was made to give him up and pretend he was her brother instead of her son. The room spun. Uncle Pete, who'd always seemed too young to be Dad's brother, who looked nothing like either of our grandparents, who'd always been closer to Mom than seemed normal for a brother and sister. That's why he's bankrupt, Bethany continued. Grandma's been supporting him his whole life. The money you saw going to my Venmo, half of it was actually going to Uncle Pete's debt. I was just the middleman. You're lying. Am I? She held out the paper. DNA test. Pete and Mom share 50% genetic material, not the 25% they should share as siblings. I took the paper with shaking hands. There it was, in black and white. The family tree I'd grown up believing was completely wrong. Jesus Christ, I whispered. It gets worse. How could it possibly get worse? Cousin Heather isn't Uncle Pete's daughter. I looked up sharply. Cousin Heather, who'd always been the family rebel, who'd run away at 16 and came back pregnant at 17, who'd never said who the father was. She's Dad's, Bethany said. Uncle Pete raised her as his own to protect Mom from finding out about another affair. The pieces were clicking into place now, and I didn't like the picture they were forming. How many affairs? I asked. At least 4 that Grandma documented. Aunt Miranda was just the one that produced a child he couldn't hide. And Mom knows? Mom's known since the beginning. Why do you think she drinks? Why do you think she's so desperate to keep up appearances? The perfect family photos, the perfect dinners, the perfect golden daughter in medical school? I thought about all those family gatherings, the forced smiles, the way conversation stopped when certain topics came up, the way Mom would get that tight look around her eyes whenever someone mentioned how much Heather looked like Dad. So Uncle Pete is actually Mom's son. Heather is actually Dad's daughter. You're the product of Dad's affair with Mom's sister, and I'm, as far as I know, you're actually their biological child. Lucky me. We sat in silence for a minute, processing the wreckage of everything we'd thought we knew. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked. Because I need your help. With what? Grandma's dying. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? She's got maybe 3 months. Cancer. She's been hiding it from everyone except me. Why except you? Because I'm the one who's been taking her to her appointments. The real ones, not the fake medication pickups I told the family about. I felt like I was drowning in revelations. The money isn't for medical school. It's for experimental treatment, immunotherapy that insurance won't cover. Grandma insisted on paying for it herself, but the Venmo transactions are to the clinical trial coordinator. They don't take checks or credit cards. Everything has to be cash transactions for privacy reasons. I stared at her. So you weren't stealing? Not exactly, but I let you think I was. Why? Because I was terrified you'd figured out the real family secrets. When you started asking about the bank statements, I panicked. I thought if I let you believe I was just stealing money from myself, you'd stop digging. But the evidence was right there. Was it? Look at those transactions again. Really look. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the screenshots I'd sent to the family chat. The ones that had gotten me disowned 3 hours ago. She was right. The amounts were all different. Some for $750, some for $2,100, some for $1,850. If Bethany was stealing for personal use, wouldn't the amounts be rounder, more predictable? The treatment costs vary depending on the dosage and the week of the cycle, Bethany explained. That's why the amounts were so random. But why didn't you just tell me? Because Grandma made me promise not to tell anyone about the cancer. She doesn't want the family's pity, and she especially doesn't want Mom to know. Why not? Because Mom will want to take over. Make it about herself. Turn Grandma's final months into a performance of devoted daughter grief. I thought about Mom's reaction to bad news. How she always managed to make herself the victim, how she'd sobbed louder than anyone at Aunt Miranda's funeral, despite not speaking to her sister for 15 years. Plus, Bethany continued, if the family finds out Grandma's dying, they'll start circling like vultures. Uncle Pete needs money. Cousin Heather's been out of work for 6 months. Even Mom and Dad have been struggling since Dad's business took that hit. What hit? You really don't pay attention, do you? Dad's been slowly going bankrupt for 2 years. That client who sued him? The one who claimed Dad deliberately sabotaged his construction project? I vaguely remembered Dad mentioning something about a lawsuit, but I'd assumed he'd won. He lost. Big time. He owes nearly $500,000 in damages. That's why Mom went back to work. That's why they've been fighting so much. Suddenly Mom's drinking made more sense. The locked bedroom door I'd found my belongings outside of. The quick way they'd turned on me when Bethany presented her evidence of my gossip. They can't afford for anyone to question the family's stability right now, I realized. Exactly. If word gets out that the perfect family is actually a nest of affairs, bastard children, and financial ruin, Dad's remaining clients will disappear. Mom's new job requires a background check. Uncle Pete's disability claim is under review. So when I sent those screenshots, you threatened everyone's survival. I felt sick. But the money will continue going to Grandma's treatment until she dies. Then it will stop, and everyone will assume I was just stealing and got scared when you caught me. What about the DNA tests? The safety deposit box? Grandma wanted someone to know the truth, but not while she's alive. She made me promise to wait until after her funeral. Why? Because she's tired of keeping secrets. But she doesn't want to spend her final months watching the family tear itself apart. I looked around the ruined house, thinking about all the secrets these walls had held, all the lies and affairs and hidden children and stolen identities. So what do you want from me? I asked. Help me protect her. Let the family keep believing I'm a thief. Let them hate me instead of learning the truth that would destroy them. For 3 months? For 3 months. And after she dies? After she dies, we decide together what to do with what we know. I thought about the family chat I'd been kicked out of, the childhood bedroom I'd been banned from, the mother who'd chosen my thieving sister over me without a second thought. Why should I protect any of them? Because despite everything, they're still our family, and because Grandma loves them. Grandma loves them enough to let them think her granddaughter is a thief? Grandma loves them enough to want them to remember her as the strong woman who held the family together, not as the dying woman who couldn't protect them from the truth. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your car's been spotted at the condemned house. Police are 10 minutes out. Someone reported suspicious activity. You need to leave. Now. Who's that from? Bethany asked. I don't know. But even as I said it, I had a sinking feeling I did know. Someone else had been watching. Someone else knew about our meeting. We need to go, I said, standing up. Wait. Bethany grabbed my arm. What are you going to do? About the screenshots, about the family, about everything? I looked at her. My sister who wasn't my sister. My father's secret daughter. The medical student paying for our grandmother's hidden cancer treatment while letting everyone believe she was a thief. I don't know, I said honestly. The family will take you back if you apologize. If you say the screenshots were fake, that you were trying to frame me out of jealousy, and let you take the blame? I'm already taking the blame. The question is whether you want to be part of this family or not. Outside, I could hear sirens in the distance. We really need to go, I said. We left through the back door, separating at the tree line behind the house. Bethany headed toward the old creek path that led to the shopping center. I went back to my car, which I'd parked 2 blocks away. As I drove past the house, I saw 2 police cars pulling into the driveway. Someone had definitely called in our meeting. But who? My phone rang as I reached the main road. Hello? It's me. Dad's voice tight with stress. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me at the office in 20 minutes. Dad, 20 minutes. And bring whatever you found in Grandma's safety deposit box. The line went dead. I sat at a red light, hands shaking. Dad knew. Had probably known all along that I'd found the box. Had maybe even been the one to call the police on our meeting. But how? Unless Grandma had told him about giving me the key. I thought about the timeline. Grandma giving me the key last month. Bethany's theft starting 6 months ago. Dad's business troubles going back 2 years. What if none of this was coincidental? What if the whole thing, the screenshots, the family explosion, even my discovery of the DNA tests, had been orchestrated? I pulled into the parking lot of Dad's construction office 23 minutes later. His truck was there, but so was another car I didn't recognize. A black sedan with government plates. This was getting worse by the minute. Dad met me at the door, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Come in. We're in conference room B. You'll see. Conference room B was where Dad met with his biggest clients. The one with the leather chairs and the impressive view of downtown. I'd spent hours here as a kid, coloring at the corner table while Dad worked late. 2 people sat at the conference table, a man in a dark suit and a woman with silver hair and kind eyes. Agent Torres, FBI, the man said, standing to shake my hand. And this is Dr. Catherine Walsh, family counselor specializing in criminal family dynamics. I looked at Dad. What the hell is going on? Sit down, he said quietly. I remained standing, not until someone explains why the FBI is interested in my family's dysfunction. Agent Torres opened a folder. Miss Henderson, how much do you know about your grandmother's financial situation? Enough to know someone's been stealing from her. Someone has, but not your sister. He slid a photograph across the table. It showed Uncle Pete coming out of a casino, a stack of chips visible in his hands. Your uncle has been systematically draining your grandmother's accounts for 3 years. He's got a gambling addiction that's cost him nearly $200,000. Another photo. Uncle Pete meeting with 2 men in expensive suits outside the casino. He also owes money to some very dangerous people who don't accept bankruptcy as payment. I don't understand, I said. But I was starting to. Your sister discovered the theft 6 months ago, Dad said. She came to me, and together we came to the FBI. We've been using Bethany as a conduit to trace where the money was actually going, Agent Torres explained. Every transaction she made for your grandmother's cancer treatment was monitored, but we needed the theft to continue so we could build a case against the organized crime figures your uncle was paying. Dr. Walsh leaned forward. Your family was chosen specifically because of your uncle's debt. These criminals were essentially money laundering through your grandmother's accounts. But the DNA tests are real, Dad said quietly. All of it. Bethany is Miranda's daughter. Pete is your mother's son. Heather is my daughter. All of it's true. But why? Because we needed you to find them, Agent Torres said. We needed someone in the family to discover the theft and make it public. We needed the criminals to think their operation was compromised, so they'd move to collect what Pete owed them. You used me. We protected you, Dad corrected. If you'd known Pete was the real thief, you might have confronted him directly. These people don't hesitate to eliminate witnesses. I sat down hard. So the family explosion was necessary to maintain your cover, Dr. Walsh said gently. Everyone had to believe you'd stumbled onto Bethany's theft by accident, including your mother. Mom doesn't know? Your mother doesn't know about the FBI investigation, the organized crime connection, or the fact that Pete is her biological son, Dad said. She knows about my affairs. She's known for years, but she doesn't know the rest. And Uncle Pete was arrested an hour ago, Agent Torres said, along with 3 members of the Marconi crime family and 2 other gambling addicts they'd been using for money laundering. I stared at them. So it's over. The criminal case is over, the family situation. Dr. Walsh gave me a sad smile. That's going to take some work. Dad reached across the table and touched my hand. I'm sorry for all of it. The affairs, the lies, using you to solve this mess. All of it. What happens now? Now we figure out how to be a family, he said. If that's what you want. What I want, I said slowly, is to see Grandma. She's at St. Mary's Hospital, Dad said. She was admitted this morning. The stress of Pete's arrest caused some complications with her treatment. Is she going to be okay? I don't know. I stood up. I need to go. The family's there. Dad warned. Your mother, Bethany, Heather, they still think you exposed Bethany's theft and caused this whole mess. Then I guess it's time to tell them the truth. Agent Torres handed me his card. You'll need to give a statement sometime this week about what you observed and when. What about Bethany? She'll be recognized as a cooperating witness. Her role in the investigation will be made public, which should clear her reputation with your family. And the DNA tests? Dr. Walsh spoke up. That's up to your family to decide how to handle. I'd recommend family counseling before making any major revelations. One more thing, I said. Who called the police about Bethany and me meeting at the house? Agent Torres smiled grimly. We've been monitoring all of your communications since we started the investigation. When you arranged to meet at an abandoned building, we were concerned for your safety. You've been watching me for 6 months? We've been protecting you for 6 months. I thought about all the times I'd felt like someone was watching me, all the strange coincidences and lucky breaks. The safety deposit box key. Grandma didn't just give that to me randomly, did she? Dad shook his head. She was worried about Pete's behavior. She wanted someone she trusted to have access to the truth, in case something happened to her. But she didn't know about the FBI investigation? She knew Pete was stealing. She didn't know about the organized crime connection until yesterday. When you told her? When Agent Torres told her. After Pete's arrest. I looked around the room, at the FBI agent, the family counselor, my father who'd been keeping secrets for decades. I need time to process this, I said. Of course, Dr. Walsh said, but don't take too long. Your grandmother is asking for you. I drove to the hospital in a daze. 6 months of investigating my sister's theft, and she'd been the hero all along. 6 months of watching my family tear itself apart, and I'd been an unwitting FBI informant. 6 months of thinking I was protecting Grandma, and she'd been dying of cancer while Uncle Pete stole from her to pay gambling debts to the mob. The hospital parking garage was full of familiar cars. Mom's silver SUV, Heather's beat-up Honda, Bethany's red sedan. I found them in the ICU waiting room. Mom saw me first, her face cycling through surprise, anger, and something that might have been relief. What are you doing here, she asked. Visiting Grandma. You have no right. She asked for me, I said quietly. Bethany looked up from her medical textbook. Her eyes were red from crying. The FBI agent came by earlier, she said. He explained everything to Mom and Heather. I looked at Mom. So, you know? I know Pete's in jail. I know you were working with the FBI. I know, her voice broke. I know I threw my daughter out of the house for trying to protect this family. Heather, who'd been silent in the corner, suddenly spoke up. Is it true? About my father being... I looked at her, really looked at her. She had Dad's eyes. Dad's stubborn chin. How had none of us seen it before? Yeah, I said. It's true. Does that make you my sister instead of my cousin? Half-sister, I guess. She nodded slowly. That's actually kind of nice. I always felt more connected to you and Bethany than to Pete. Mom wiped her eyes. The doctor says we can see her 2 at a time. She's been asking for you and Bethany. I followed Bethany down the hallway to room 314. Grandma looked tiny in the hospital bed, surrounded by machines and monitors. But her eyes were alert when she saw us. There are my girls, she said, her voice paper-thin but warm. I pulled a chair up to her bedside. I'm sorry I didn't visit more. You visited plenty, and you did exactly what I hoped you'd do. I almost destroyed the family. Honey, this family's been destroying itself for decades. You just finally brought it into the light. Bethany took her other hand. How are you feeling? Tired, but peaceful. For the first time in years, peaceful. Because Uncle Pete's in jail? Because there are no more secrets. Well, almost no more secrets. She looked directly at me. Your mother doesn't know about Pete being her son, or about my giving you the key to find the DNA tests. Are you going to tell her? I'm going to let you decide, both of you, after I'm gone. Don't talk like that. Sweetheart, I'm 87 years old with stage 4 cancer. I'm going to talk however I want. Despite everything, I smiled. That was Grandma, blunt to the end. The FBI agent said you might have 3 months, Bethany said. The FBI agent is optimistic. I have maybe 3 weeks. The room went quiet except for the beeping of monitors. I need you both to promise me something, Grandma said. Anything. Don't let this family fall apart when I'm gone. Yes, there have been lies. Yes, there have been affairs and secrets and mistakes. But there's also been love, real love. Don't throw that away because the structure was messier than you thought. I thought about Mom's face when she saw me in the waiting room, about Heather calling me her sister, About Bethany spending 6 months letting everyone think she was a thief to protect the family. What about Uncle Pete? Pete needs help, real help, not money, not enablement, treatment for his addiction and therapy for his trauma. Being given up at birth and raised as his mother's brother messed him up in ways I didn't understand until it was too late. Will you forgive him? I already have. The question is whether the rest of you can. A nurse appeared in the doorway. I'm sorry, but visiting hours are ending soon. We'll be back tomorrow, I said. You'd better be. I have more instructions for you. I kissed her forehead. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. Both of you. Now go talk to your mother. She's been crying for 3 hours. In the hallway, Bethany grabbed my arm. Thank you. For what? For not hating me. For not exposing everything before the FBI was ready. For being my sister even when you thought I was stealing from Grandma. I hugged her. Really hugged her for the first time in years. We're going to be okay, I said. All of us. Even Mom? I thought about Mom in the waiting room, looking older and more fragile than I'd ever seen her. Especially Mom. We walked back to the waiting room together. Mom stood up when she saw us, her face hopeful and terrified. How is she? Tired but okay, Bethany said. She wants to see you. Mom started toward the hallway, then stopped and turned back to me. I'm sorry, she said. For everything. For choosing Bethany over you. For not listening. For believing Dad's lies about his affairs? I asked gently. Her face crumpled. You know about those two? I know about all of it, Mom. And I understand why you kept the secrets. Do you? Because I don't anymore. I don't understand any of it. Dr. Walsh appeared in the waiting room doorway. Mrs. Henderson? I'm Dr. Walsh. I've been working with your family and the FBI. I wonder if we could schedule some family counseling sessions. Mom looked around at all of us. Me, Bethany, Heather, even Dad who'd appeared from somewhere. Are we worth saving? She asked quietly. Yes, I said without hesitation. We're worth saving. And for the first time in 6 months, I believed it. 3 weeks later, Grandma died peacefully in her sleep. The whole family was there. Mom, Dad, me, Bethany, Heather, even Uncle Pete, who'd been released on bail pending trial. At her funeral, I read a letter she'd written for the occasion. It was full of love, forgiveness, and one final revelation. She'd known about every affair, every secret, every lie for decades. She'd kept quiet not to protect the liars, but to protect the innocent people who would be hurt by the truth. But now, I read from her letter, I'm trusting my family to be strong enough to handle the truth, to forgive each other, to choose love over perfection. After the service, we gathered at the old house, which Dad had decided to renovate instead of demolish. As we sat in the living room where Bethany and I had our confrontation, Mom took a deep breath. I have something to tell you, she said to Uncle Pete. About your birth. About why you've always felt like you don't quite fit. Uncle Pete listened as Mom explained that she was his biological mother, not his sister. That she'd been forced to give him up when she was 15. That she'd spent his entire life wanting to tell him the truth, but being too afraid of hurting him. When she finished, Uncle Pete was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I always wondered why you worried about me so much. Because you're my son, Mom said, crying. You've always been my son. They held each other while the rest of us cried. 6 months later, Uncle Pete completed a gambling addiction program and started working for Dad's construction company. Heather legally changed her last name to Henderson and enrolled in college to study social work. Bethany graduated medical school and decided to specialize in oncology. Mom and Dad started marriage counseling and surprisingly decided to stay together. 30 years of marriage is worth fighting for, Mom said, even if 20 of those years were built on lies. As for me, I moved back home while I figured out my next steps. The family group chat was renamed Family Forever, for real, this time, and actually lived up to its name. We still have family dinners every Sunday. They're messier now, more honest. Sometimes people argue, sometimes people cry, but nobody pretends anymore. And sometimes, late at night, I sit in Grandma's old chair and think about secrets, about how keeping them can destroy a family, but so can revealing them at the wrong time, in the wrong way, for the wrong reasons. The difference, I learned, is love. When secrets are kept out of love, real love, not control or fear, they can actually protect people until they're strong enough to handle the truth. When secrets are revealed out of love, not revenge or anger or self-righteousness, they can heal instead of destroy. Grandma knew that. That's why she gave me the key to the safety deposit box. Not to explode the family, but to save it when it was ready to be saved. I keep her letter in my wallet now. The one she wrote just for me, separate from the funeral letter. It's short. Sweetheart, families aren't perfect. They're just people who choose to love each other despite the imperfections. I'm trusting you to help ours make that choice. Love, Grandma. I think we're making the right choice. Most days, anyway.